What's up, everyone? I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, the
Hey,
Patriots lost again.
yeah. Doug, it's good that this podcast is like 20 hours after the game, I think. Because if we did it last night, it would have just been like, another they suck again. So at
And
least
it's not
maybe,
going to be that now?
I don't know, maybe we have a little bit different perspective than maybe just the
Yeah.
immediate. I actually, how about this, Doug? Because I feel like we're probably going to just be banging away at how bad things are.
Oh, you have
I
a
got,
positive take?
oh, yeah. Drake May is unbelievable. Like he is so good. I just feel like there's no reason to bridle any optimism. Like, it's only unbridled optimism when it comes to that kid because he's great. And I feel like don't don't limit yourself from getting excited about Drake May because he's that good. Um, you have to worry about whether they can make it worthwhile. But like I guess my thought is like, remember how like early in the year we're like he's like a Josh Allen. He's Josh Allen. I'm past the Josh Allen
Oh,
comparisons
past Josh
because
Allen.
Josh Allen sucked when he was a rookie. He was
Yeah.
embarrassing as a rookie. I sat around and made gifs of him throwing the ball in the 12th row, missing wide open receivers. Like he was not good as a rookie, and this kid already is good. He's multiple threats, as you know. Jerod
Mhm.
Mayo let us know he has good legs. I love
You said
that.
it. I didn't.
I know. He had the wizard like touchdown pass, was sick. He ran in the touchdown and just threw the ball at the ref and went back to the sideline. He's not there for like BS glory and
No.
fantasy points. I really like Drake May. I think he's really good. And with that, I think we can conclude our positives.
I think that's about it. No, the little shovel pass to Demario Douglas was really cool because like you could tell that he was waiting for the defender to come up. As soon as he came up, flipped it over to Demario Douglas. Real cool play there. The downfield throw to Kendrick Bourne. That's
Oh,
kind of what we've been waiting to see all year. I mean, obviously we saw it earlier in the year to Kayshon Boutte, but that's not an easy throw to make. And I think it's also very easy to just kind of like fold it up at the end of the game and be like, well, we lost. But clearly Drake May wasn't in the mood to do that. Patriots started using some more tempo, as Drake May said. Kayshon Boutte, speaking of him, would like to see them use tempo at the beginning of games to maybe get them going a little bit earlier.
was that Coach Kayshawn?
That was Coach Boutte.
Okay.
He's yeah.
He had a great game, right?
Say he for this. That's the other thing about Drake May versus Josh Allen, at least as a rookie, is that Josh Allen's turnovers, like I guess I wasn't watching him as closely as I am Drake May, but I would say that probably a higher percentage of his interceptions were his own fault, whereas Drake May has two turnovers over his last two games, and neither one of them are his fault. Like he can say, "Oh, maybe I didn't place the ball perfectly to Hunter Henry in the end zone," or like maybe Kayshon Boutte can say, "Oh, I was going one way. It's a little bit tough to have it like a low throw there." But in that situation, Drake May was trying to throw him away from the defender. And I don't think that Drake May would have had any idea that Kayshon Boutte would just like lateral the ball to Sean Murphy Bunting in that
Yeah.
situation for an interception. Like the absolute worst that should be is an incompletion, just like to Hunter Henry against the Colts. And
Yeah.
somehow over these last two games, Drake May has wound up with interceptions through, I would say, like maybe 1% fault of his own.
Yeah, and that one in the broadcast spotlighted it like it was a smarter play for Booty to settle down in the zone where there
Right.
was a gap rather than running into a safety who was waiting for him. Drake May saw that. Booty didn't see that. Um, I don't know. There's plenty of negative. I mean, he started what 10 for 10 for 71 yards at halftime, and it was
Yeah.
like, he's really acing this test. Perhaps you
Bunch of
should put
screens.
perhaps you should put some more challenging questions on the test and see how he does with those because he's doing well with
He
these.
was
So
nailing the simple arithmetic in the first half. Yeah.
yeah, I actually did have other positives, but we don't need to start with the positives. I don't think after that because I think I said on this very podcast last week I was watching the Cardinals get their asses beat by Tampa last week. I want to say, and they just were never able to get competitive. Like it was
Yeah.
always a sizable gap between. Was it the Bucks? I should have probably done my prep work on who the Cardinals played last week, but it wasn't the Bucks. It was the bad
Just gonna let you
radio.
flounder here.
They they apparently don't exist. Oh, they lost
They
to the
played the
Seahawks.
Seahawks. Yeah, they
So
played
it
the
was 30-18, and it was always like there was always that gap. And I was watching, and I was like, this team can't get to the level of being competitive. And I know that team is going to do that to the Patriots next week. And that's exactly what we saw. Like, opening drive, you have a chance to take a lead and you get a penalty and then a missed field goal. And it's like, well, isn't that just about Patriots? Isn't that just about the season?
Yeah, it was a very Patriots-esque game, at least the post-dynasty era Patriots, where the what a weird game. And I'm glad, I guess, in some ways that we're waiting a little bit to do this podcast, because usually we do them on Sunday night. And I might not come with the same perspective, because last night as I was leaving the stadium, I was like, I don't really still fully understand how they lost this game as badly as they did. Like, just looking at the pure stats, at least on offense, like Drake May only had 4 incompletions. The Patriots averaged they averaged 4.8 yards per carry. Like, they had 1 turnover and it was kind of a freak occurrence, but then they go 0 for 6 on third down. And really all it was like all these like little mistakes they were just compounding over and over and over again in the first half. And obviously when they're little mistakes like that, then they just become one gigantic mistake of a game. And certainly of a first half interception, as I mentioned, certainly didn't help in the second half when Keyshawn Boo just decided to drop the pass and lateral it to Sean Murphy Bunting. But I mean, like, even the 6 third downs are all like not excusable, but like they were all in like kind of weird situations, you know?
Yeah, I would say another example of they hate us because they ain't us was at play on that on the roughing the passer call that took away Jonathan Jones' interception. That was clearly Goodell hitting the button saying no. That was kind of a tough call. I know why they called it, but it was like that clearly was not the point of roughing the passer.
Is Roger Goodell sitting in a Buffalo Wild Wings when he hits the button? Is that where his compound is?
1,000%. And I'll tell you how they lost the game, because they actually did make it somewhat competitive, but their defense, the last 2 real Cardinals, you could even include the last one when they could have gotten a stop and made it interesting. Like, it was embarrassing. That drive, that was 9 plays, 70 yards with just no resistance. It was just, there was missed tackles. And it's not just like, I mean, like Taki missing an edge, which there was. There's like Kyle Duggar missing tackles in open spaces. There's just sort of levels to it. And you're just, it's got to be embarrassing to be on that defense and just get worse as not only the season goes on, but as the game goes on. And I was unable to watch this game live, as you know, but no one listening knows. So I was listening on the radio coming out of halftime, and it was the opening drive of the second half, and it was maybe 7 plays in, maybe even fewer. And Zolak was like, these guys just got out of halftime. I'm not going to do a Zolak impression. He's like, these guys just got out of halftime. These guys on defense, and they're all hands on their hips, winded, leaning over. And you're just like, man, like, how is it at this point? So to me, for as much as you have Jerod Mayo putting his foot in his mouth again for the weekly segment where we analyze the dumb thing Jerod Mayo said, I don't know that there's an easy answer for how the defense is this bad, but it's clearly the like submarine, like, for as good as all those offensive things can be, the Cardinals had the ball for 35 minutes. The defense did get a turnover, didn't count. There was just so many blown plays defensively that they never, even though they made it close at the end, it never felt like it was going to actually be close.
So I don't think that this was strategic by any means from Jerod Mayo or from ownership, where like it feels like, and even from players themselves, Keyshawn Booty, it seems like everyone just like pointed a bunch of fingers at Alex Van Pelt after this game. And I do feel like that's taken a lot of attention off of Jerod Mayo and DeMarcus Covington's defense, where, I mean, DeMarcus Covington kind of said it again, where he was like, he didn't necessarily say like, take out the 53-yard run and everything looks a lot better, but he did say that once again, one big play skews the stats and makes it look a lot worse than it is. And like,
that's how stats work.
Yeah. First of all, I couldn't believe he said it, but my main reaction there was like, and I tweeted about this, who cares about the stats? Like, why are you focused on how many yards per carry you allowed after a game, or how many rushing yards allowed after a game? Like, whether that 53-yard run happened or not, the Patriots were going to lose that game. Like that 53-yard run was not the difference between them winning and losing. All that 53-yard run
yeah,
was
it
the
saved
difference
3
between
plays.
yeah, and it all it did was like it was the difference between them allowing 5 yards per carry and 3.5 yards per carry. And sure, allowing 3.5 yards per carry looks a lot better. Like maybe when you're sitting down with the Crafts on a Monday after a game, but that's all it does. You're still losing the game. It doesn't like because it was also beyond that 53-yard run, like a death by 1,000 cuts with the running game anyway, where the Patriots still couldn't stop them on those shorter gains.
I'm glad you said that because I have felt with Mayo a lot of times there are things that you would say to your boss if you were the coach of a 3-11 team.
Yeah.
And that is one of them. And it's like, we're not your boss. Like the public's not your boss.
Right.
Like do your boss stuff in boss mode. Like you can't, no one's buying it as this sort of BS excuse. But it's interesting because like the Cardinals had a possession at the goal line. First down run, stuffed. Good. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Feel good about that. Second down run, stuffed. Mm-hmm. Good. That's something to hang your hat on. Third down run, walk-in touchdown, untouched, right through the A-gap. And it's like, are you more focused on your 2 stops as a coaching staff and being like, well, we did stop them twice? It's like, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't complete the job. And again, no one's expecting this team to complete every job, but you got to complete some defensively. And there's so few. And those drives specifically at the end where it's like, all right, you have a chance. Whether you expected it or not, you score, it's a game, and then it's 9 yards, 55 yards, touchdown, 9 plays, 55 yards, touchdown, 9 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. And then the next one, 4 plays, they get the first down, end of game. And it's just like, nothing else really matters except for finishing the job. And I don't know, like they get that, right? As a coaching staff, do they get that?
I don't know. I mean, they might just already look at this in some ways as like, this is a lost season and we just got to like look as good as possible, like on paper, be as good as possible. And I mean, let's actually get into Jerod Mayo's comments after the game.
Yeah.
So Phil, I was there obviously in Arizona. Came back on a red-eye flight.
It's incredible how they can do that. You can get all over the place real fast.
I was actually thinking about that yesterday as I was leaving, because it was like
this is our aeronautics break. Go ahead.
It was like, I don't even know what time it was. It was like 10 or something. And I was like, oh yeah, we got Jerod Mayo in the morning at 9 a.m. And I was like, I'll have been home for 4 hours by the time that starts. Like that's pretty wild. And yeah, I prefer the red eyes because I don't want to have to just be in a foreign city for all day, which especially if you're flying from the West Coast. Got to see my daughter and everything, so that was cool. But yeah, Jerod Mayo was asked initially by Phil Perry, like, hey, was there any thought of having Drake May run in one of those short yard situations? He's got like some good legs. And Jerod Mayo's answer was, you said it, I didn't. Which immediately was like, whoa. He believes that Alex Van Pelt should have had Drake May run in that situation. And then like a question or two later, I jumped in and was like, hey, you said to Phil, you said it, I didn't. Is that to say that was Alex Van Pelt's decision to not have Drake May run there? And then he was like, well, no, it's on me. Drake May has good legs, but we decided not to use him at that point or whatever. So he's immediately kind of walking it back. And then he goes out of his way this morning in his initial preamble to say like, hey, I know we're going to get questions about this. I didn't mean anything by it. It was a defensive response.
Right.
And then there was some follow-ups asked about it.
And by that, I think the defense is like sort of saying, you're questioning my decision-making. So that's what I said in the snap. Is that they thought?
Yeah, but it didn't come across that way. It didn't sound as if he was being combative to Phil. It felt like he was agreeing with Phil,
Yeah.
Like I think a defensive response would have been,
there's a lot of decisions that have to get made in a game.
Right, like a pithy, whatever. Like it would have been more like Belichickian, I would say.
What would Belichick have said? He'd be like, well, we consider everything, every play.
I think he would have said, we did what we felt was best for the team.
Yeah, which I hated. So, I mean, what are you going to do?
And then if there had been follow-ups, he would have just repeated, we did what we felt was best for the team.
Yeah.
And like, as a media member, I would rather Jerod Mayo be transparent with us, obviously, but I also think that there's just kind of a limit to it.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want to appear as if you're throwing your offensive coordinator under the bus, especially when CBS cameras, I don't think Jerod Mayo knew about this at the time, but when CBS cameras show Robert and Jonathan Kraft like looking frustrated as hell after Antonio Gibson's 5-yard loss. And then I'm not going to pretend to be an expert lip reader, but there are expert lip readers out there who believe that Robert Kraft said it's the offensive play calling, and they believe that Jonathan Kraft said the play calling has been terrible.
Yeah. And to that point, like on the plays in question, you have a 3rd and 1 run down near the goal line, and it gets blown up because Layden Robinson is overmatched. And what do they do on 4th down? Where do they run it again? They ran it behind Layden Robinson.
Yeah.
It's like, so they're like, Drake May didn't have to sneak it necessarily if that's not what the defense was giving. But and now I know you don't have a strength, but you would just think, all right, run behind him when you, because like he's your best offensive line. Like run behind someone that you can trust.
Yeah.
Not your left tackle was playing terribly, your left guard was playing terribly.
Yeah. Maybe
don't run behind them. And I know Mayo said something like, there's points where everyone in the stadium knows what you're going to run. You got to be able to execute it. And it's like, I wouldn't have guessed you run it behind Layden Robinson again. So even with the unexpected, it was so like the actual play calling, not just the QB sneak or not aspect. I feel like there is something there. I don't know if Mayo was even thinking that though with that answer. It was really strange.
Yeah, it was strange. And I mean, the Patriots had converted on a 4th and 1 earlier in the game. I believe it was Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah, it was Ramondre Stevenson running on the play. So obviously they converted in a short yard situation without Drake May, but you do have 2 opportunities there. When the first one doesn't work, maybe the thing is, like Drake May talked about on WEI today, and he was saying, oh yeah, I had a concussion earlier in the year. I can kind of understand why they don't want to like put me in harm's way or whatever. It's like, yeah, having a quarterback run the ball at any time can be a health concern, but realistically, how many quarterbacks specifically get hurt on QB sneaks? Like it's pretty uncommon, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not like Jalen Hurts gets hurt 5 times a game when he's doing the tush push.
And if I know that hurt, like I don't know,
different sized human beings, but still, Brady used to do it all the time.
He was the best. Want to do that? Let's just do that. Tom Brady. That guy was friggin' good.
Maybe they could sign Brady as a QB sneak specialist.
And then they could do what they did with Brissett, where they bring him in and then he doesn't sneak.
Take it. Well, even that, like, even if you don't want to put Drake May in there, put Brissett in there, you've already shown them once that you're willing to do a fake QB sneak. And I know that, by the way, did you read Mike Reese's notes on Sunday?
Yes.
Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, God. I was like, does he know he's Jacoby Brissett? Like, no disrespect. Like, and he did kind of come around toward the end, but the whole, like, man, you aren't that good. Like, you are better at quarterback than most human beings. We understand that. But in the scope of the NFL, you're not. And some of those comments didn't sound like someone who's even thinking along. Maybe you can't afford to think that as a competitor. I don't know. But some of those quotes, I can get them if you want.
My biggest take, and yeah, you could get them. He was saying what a hard year it's been. He was saying to go back and watch the film, and you'll understand why there were struggles. What I would say to that is obviously like Drake May hasn't struggled to the same degree, and you don't necessarily want to compare Jacoby Brissett to Drake May, but by Jacoby Brissett saying it's been such a tough year, clearly he thinks he probably deserved more time. But if I'm a team that's picking near the top of the draft and I'm looking for a bridge starter to go from, like, you're planning on drafting a rookie quarterback and you want to find a guy who can be a veteran starter for, let's say, like 4 games or no games or whatever it is. Like, after you read those comments from Brissett, is he the guy that you want to sign at that point? Like,
Right. Ready? Quote.
yeah,
This is to Mike Reese. There's so much I could say, but I guess not ideal. Obviously, a unique situation here. I'm not the one to make excuses, but at some point, somebody's going to have to watch the film and understand what I was dealing with. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I think it's very easy for people to blame the quarterback for things. That's what this profession is. But yeah, man, tough year. End quote. And to that, I would just say, obviously, your line was non existent. Your receivers are bad. Everything was bad. But Drake May is in arguably a worse position or the same at best. It's the same position. And who has been incredibly better at the sport. So, like, yeah, you took a beating, throw to, and you had no O-line. We get it. But the kid playing is, I won't say thriving, but overcoming a lot of that with his athleticism. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of where things are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was crazy.
And then the last quote too. Well, first of all, he didn't sound very excited about the possibility of returning to the Patriots.
Hold on, potential spam, Doug.
What was that?
Potential spam.
Oh no, are you going to
take it?
Yeah,
you should take it. Live on the podcast.
Pam. So he said it's been a tough year for that as far as emotional and just dealing with everything, trying to put on a good face every day. But it's not my. So like, if you're reading that, like I said, and you're like the Browns or the Raiders or some team that's going to draft a quarterback, like, do you really want to sign the guy who's being like, is mopey too strong of a word?
It is too strong because like you see him on the sideline during games and he is fired up and he is a good teammate and all that. But it does
like mopey in a quote. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's
I guess no, like,
nah, I don't know.
You want players that want to play, but backup QB is such a unique thing where you have to
he's
know.
Like doing the commercials too, you know?
Yeah.
Like he understands what I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad. I don't want to get too much into it, but like
maybe the second you're like, you know what, I'm actually not that good, then you're done. So you kind of have to put on a sort of facade of,
I know.
If it's not a facade, maybe it's just how you survive in the NFL. But the
like
point is like
trying to put on a good face every day.
You make $8 million.
I know. Yeah.
$8 million. Like, buddy, I would go take those hits for $8 million. I wouldn't last more than one play. My whole body would disintegrate and then I'd float into the rafters, I think. But it'd be a sick way to earn $8 million.
Definitely. Yeah. So that was that. But with the Kraft's situation, clearly, like, they didn't know they were going to be on TV during that time, so they're just kind of reacting the way that they're going to react. But
Jonathan had like the notes. He looked like someone who wanted to go.
Well, he had like a flip card in his hands, but he did have a pen. He was like taking notes on it.
Yeah. So he looked. I would put it this way: if that was my boss, I would not have liked that shot if I was anyone involved with the football team.
No, and especially not Alex Van Pelt, because I don't know. I mean, it makes you. If I were Alex Van Pelt, I think it would make you wonder after what Mayo said after the game, combined with this clip of the Krafts. You kind of have to wonder, like, what's Mayo saying to the Krafts? You know, because I do think in a season like this, there probably is a lot of finger pointing about like who's at fault, who's doing what. And like, that could come from the offense or defense. It could come from the front office. Like, I'm sure everyone's got their own opinion about everything that's going wrong in this situation.
Yeah.
And when you're faced with tough questions,
like the circumstances by which Mayo got this job seem to have been, I don't want to say like back channeling, but it obviously like to be
a good relationship with the Krafts.
Obviously it wasn't a fair situation to Bill if you're working under him, knowing you're the next guy, and that I don't know. There seems so. I wouldn't necessarily put it past Mayo if he's saying, "Yeah, well, you know, this guy's not really up to snuff." Just so you guys know, but I don't know, man. It's like I think I've said this before. We expected a down season. It doesn't have to be this bad.
Yeah,
it doesn't. But at the same time, I think if you look at the bottom of the league now, last year, 5 years ago, and you look at the 5 worst teams, they all have dysfunction. Like that is, and it's like chicken or the egg, right? Like, are they bad because they're dysfunctional, or are they dysfunctional because they're bad? I just don't know many. Maybe outside of like the Colts year when they tanked for luck,
Right.
a situation where an organization is sort of cohesive and functional and has a winning percentage under 200. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's very rare that you're not getting the dumpster fire elements in a season this bad.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it is important to still remember that like the Patriots were not favored for a single game this season based on the talent on their roster. But like,
Which timeout,
yeah,
just like the Shaq meme, the freaking Panthers were favored against the Cowboys yesterday. What the hell was that? Like, what are we doing? Everyone says,
that's
the
pretty
odds
wild.
makers, they know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. No one mentions games like that. Anyways, carry on.
So, I mean, it is important to remember that this was supposed to be a really bad season for the Patriots. But when you're like getting just smoked by the Cardinals, and I think that game was less close than the score even indicates, because those were two garbage time touchdowns by the Patriots. They both came within the fourth quarter. Like, obviously, like May was saying that the Cardinals, like, they were using tempo, so the Cardinals couldn't really get into the defense that they wanted to get into. So it was like these kind of special circumstances. But
I would say garbage time only because your defense is garbage and gave up 2 long scoring drives in response. If you could have forced 2 punts there, the game's a whole hell of a lot more realistic. So,
or if you could get that interception that Anthony Jennings, unfortunately.
See, there should be a rule where if you get roughed because you make like the dumbass decision to pass it at the last second and give up this duck for an interception, they just like, you lose your protection. I don't know how you word that, but
I will say, and like, this might be me being a dumb person, because that's always the possibility, but like when the penalty occurs after the interception, you know what I mean? Like the pass is out.
Well, yeah.
And then it does feel like it should be like,
it's a get out of jail free card.
Should still count, you know?
Yeah. But then I guess you could use theoretically the threat of insane hits to force more interceptions if you don't take the interception away.
I guess. Yeah.
Because then the quarterback's always kind of skittish. But in that case, it's like the ball, like he jumps to bat the pass down, but the ball was out, so he just kind of landed. And Kyler Murray's 3 feet tall and ducked down. It's like, if you make head contact with someone at your navel, we're good. But yeah, that was a tough
inadvertent break. I could barely even tell if, like, just by the way it was announced, like whether it was helmet to helmet, whether it was a late hit, because like
it wasn't.
They said it was late hit at first, but I don't think it was. I think like the pool report, what's his name, the referee Torbert, he told Mike Reese that it was because of helmet to helmet contact. So
that guy doesn't know anything. So
Mike Reese, I disagree. I think he knows.
This is an anti-Mike Reese pod. No, this is an anti-Ron Torbert press podcast.
Yeah. So and for that to happen, like that near interception gets called back, and then the Patriots finally do force a punt because what's his bucket had to come into the game? The Cardinals.
Toon, Mr. Toon.
Yeah, Carson Toon.
Who could forget Mr. Toon? You don't know Toon's first name, man?
It's Toon time.
Yeah. His name is clearly Toon, and if you Google Toon Cardinals, it comes up right there. Clayton Toon.
Clayton Toon. It's not Cooper. Clayton Toon comes in the game. I don't know. I don't even know what Kyler's injury was at that point.
He was being evaluated for a concussion because he went down and was pretty mad. Now, Clayton Toon, by the way, played for the Houston Cougs. So you should know that.
There we go. So he completed 2 passes, but they still had to punt. So like it was actually still the Patriots got the ball back. It wasn't like the worst possible thing that could have happened. But then when the Patriots got the ball back, that's when Kayshon Boutte dropped the ball and decided to lateral it to Sean Murphy Bunting for the interception. So
which was like, to be fair, that was like 2 plays after May airmailed Boutte. So
yeah,
he was just getting him back for that. I think Boutte was. It was like a little tit for tat.
So yeah, there's a couple
that was brutal.
There's a couple of things that I just keep waiting to change, and they don't. And one of them we discussed already, and that's the defense. Every week I'm like, they've got the guys back. They have the majority of their guys back. And I asked Jabril Peppers after the game, I was like, seems like you guys have most of the guys that you had last year. Like, what's the difference? And he was like, oh, I disagree. I don't think we have most of the guys back from last year. And I was like, I don't want to necessarily like get into an unnecessary argument here, but
you don't have Judon.
But
you didn't have him.
They had Judon for 4 games last year. The only guy they don't have is Jawan Bentley, Lawrence Guy, and Miles Bryant. And you've replaced Miles Bryant with Christian Gonzalez
Mm.
and Marcus Jones. So I'm going to say that that's advantage 2024 Patriots.
Yeah.
You've got Christian Ellis replacing Juwan Bentley, which isn't ideal, but basically by Juwan Bentley saying, and by Jabril Pepper saying, like, we don't have everyone back from last year, all he's really saying is that we have Christian Gonzalez and Christian Ellis replacing Juwan Bentley.
Right.
But that's an aside. That's one thing that has yet to change. The other thing is that Jalen Polk just still is not catching any passes.
Did you notice the goal line target he had? He ran it out. May threw a flag.
Yeah.
And in the camera quickly caught Polk kind of being like, I tend to believe he ran the wrong route again. That's my read on that.
Yeah.
Because if you look at when May threw it, it was right at the break at the top of the route. He throws it to the corner of the end zone, and Polk just cuts straight to the sideline at the front of the end zone. And it's like, I don't know that Drake May threw the right ball, but I lean that way.
I would agree. I do also think that at some point the Patriots do need to figure out, like, are the receivers trying to read what Drake May is seeing, or do they just need to run the most basic concepts possible? Because that does seem to be the issue a lot of the time with, like, Kayshon Boutte or with Demario Douglas or possibly even Jalen Polk, where it's like May's seeing the right thing and throwing where the guy's supposed to be based on what he's seeing, but they're just doing what they're being asked to do. And there's just that, like, divide there. And I don't think the answer is, simplify it to, like, it's like bare bones. But, like, if these guys just can't get it, then I don't know if you do have to adjust at that point. But still, Jalen Polk on the field for the first 4 snaps, I'm like, wow, they're obviously really going to try to get Jalen Polk involved in this game. Only wound up playing 20 snaps, officially targeted once. I thought they were going to give him a target for a throwaway as well, but they didn't. But, like, it's wild. I would say on Saturday night, I was hanging out with some of the other beat writers, and one of them said over under 1.5 catches for Jalen Polk in this game. And I was like, I really want to say over, but until he proves to me that he can catch multiple passes in the game, I'm going to go with the under. He has not had a multi-catch game since week 4.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 catches since Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to insult you too bad, but, like, you got to find better stuff to talk about at dinner the night before. I don't know. That's boring to me. No, I'm kidding.
I agree.
Like, clearly just being on the field is not enough to warrant.
You would think he would get more than a target, you know?
Right. Well, the fact that the one he did, it looked like he ran the wrong route in the red zone. Like, I don't know. It's not getting better. And I've used to say he looked like he knew what he was doing and fit in, but I guess I got to punt on that one. I guess I'm not an evaluator of Jalen Polk. I don't know. I watched him play football last year. He's a rare college player that I've seen play. I'm not a college football expert. I tune it on, and if
he was good in training camp. Like, literally ask any Patriots beat reporter. He was good in training camp. He made some catches in the preseason. Looked okay.
Right. He looked fine and ready. It's bizarre, and that's not a case where I want to just go to the coaching staff. And is that my bad? I don't know. I don't look at my bad. You think the coaching? Yeah. I honestly don't know. It's just part of the bigger problem of nobody really knowing what they're doing down there.
Because, like, so he was taken in the 2nd round. He was a projected 2nd round pick. Like, I had someone kind of quibbling with me last week when I said that he was drafted around his consensus, and the person came back like real hot. I was like, he was not. A.D. Mitchell went after him, and he was a consensus better player, like, hired. But it's like draft boards are getting, like, one guy's gonna be above another. Like, as long as they're like drafted in the right round, it's around the consensus. It's not Tyquan Thornton who was supposed to go in the 6th round and winds up going in the 2nd round. Like, Jalen Polk was supposed to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. He was a high 2nd round pick. So you can quibble however much you want, but, like, he was drafted where people expected him to be drafted. And then when he gets in here, and it's either coaching or, and Alex Van Pelt said it again this week, that he's been dealing with some, like, mental stuff because of the drops early in the season. But it's like, how long does that go on for? You know?
Yeah. I have his draft profile up here, NFL.com, Lance Zierlein.
Yeah.
Draft projection round 2.
Yeah.
So there was some questions about his route running. His
Of course.
his work at the top of the route, his
course.
formational release won't I don't know. He has to prove he can play with better burst and suddenness. Too gradual getting into the top of the route, which I was trying to say very poorly. Below average salesmanship and burst at break points. Takes too long transitioning from catch to run. Well, we haven't seen that part yet, but I feel like there are elements that maybe the what's the hardest part of transitioning college to pros? It's probably not straight line speed. It's probably not even, quickness, change of direction. It's when you get to the top of your route, you have to trick somebody.
Right.
Almost every play. Whereas in college, you're
Yeah.
probably good. If you're going to run a corner route, you're probably more athletic than that guy. And there's an adjustment period there. And that is sort of what the rookie season's for, right? Like actually progressing. And the fact that he's made no progress is the part that's scary. Like I know rookies do step in now and thrive, like really good receivers. Not everyone does. Like there is a growth pattern and you need to start it. And he really, I don't know if he's moved backwards, but he certainly hasn't moved forwards.
He made college cornerbacks look silly at times last year. I watched him a ton because I'm a University of Washington fan. So I watched like almost every game that he played last year, and he played a ton of them. And like it was him, Rome Odunze, and Jalen McMillan. And Rome Odunze is doing okay this year. Jalen McMillan just had a touchdown after a game with 2 touchdowns. So like he's doing pretty well at this point. And Jalen Polk is just lagging so far behind that, it's pretty bizarre. And I don't know what's going to come of this. I don't know what happens. But at this point, you can't count on him to be a contributor next year based on how he's playing this year, which really stinks as a second round pick.
Do you want to know where he ranks among rookies in receiving yards?
I mean, like qualified, like the amount of targets he's last, absolutely last.
Yards?
Well, and yards, that's probably including guys who like straight up haven't played, right?
I'm just saying rookies, just like Brian Thomas has 956 yards. Brock Bowers has 933 yards. Malik Neighbors has 901 yards.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey, 873. Marvin Harrison Jr., we saw 687. Rome Odunze, 585. Xavier Worthy there. You go down. There's Jalen Polk with 87. Tied with Isaac Garendo for looks like 23rd, I'll call it. I'm not going to count it for you right now, but it's bad.
Jalen Polk has been targeted 30 times. He has 87 yards. There's one guy below him in yards for a rookie wide receiver with double-digit targets, and he's got 10 targets, and he's got 14 yards. So, like, yeah, if you're going qualified rookie wide receivers here, he's last. I believe he is also last in wide receiver PFF grade so far this season, which obviously is not ideal or great.
Yeah.
No, he's actually second last now. Sky Moore has gone below him, so he's 212th out of 213 wide receivers.
So there's a receiver just above him, a rookie. So Polk has 12 catches. This guy has 13. Polk has 87 yards. This guy has 153. That other guy is Ricky Pearsall, who got shot by a bullet in August and has produced more. I mean, he has one fewer touchdown, but you get the point. It's tough. I don't know, Doug. You can't afford to have missed both of your receiver picks this year. You needed one of those guys to be a contributor. And
Javon Baker has a mystery concussion where he's practicing on Monday in an unpadded practice
after a bye.
Tuesday was a day off, and then Wednesday's not out there because of a concussion. So weird situation. Jerod Mayo wouldn't say why that was the case. And you know what? A lot of people even took issue with Jerod Mayo being like, I don't want to get into when he got the concussion. I had no issue with that. I actually thought coming out of the bye, or like, he wasn't necessarily great with the media on the Monday after the Colts game, but then throughout the bye, I thought he was better. He was better last week, and then it really did just tank again. And I don't want to get too far into this, but while we're talking about Jerod Mayo, while Jerod Mayo is on my mind, on EEI, when he's like, it's the day after a loss, it's 14 hours after the game is over, and he's like really yucking it up with the morning crew there, the Greg Hill show. it's just really kind of shocking to see after covering Bill Belichick for so many years. And I probably could have phrased my tweet about this better because I confused some people.
Yeah,
But
people get real mad on the internet these days, so you got to be careful, especially if you invoke the name of Bill Belichick in any way.
Bill Belichick he made it very clear after losses that he was not happy.
Well, let me just jump in before you even take it any further, because when I covered the Patriots so many years, they were so good. I liked going to the losing locker room more often than not because you get sort of better commentary and answers. Right. It wasn't just Bill Belichick that treats losses like the end of the world. Like the NFL, typically it is the end of the world if you lose any week, unless you're like 3-10 and kind of suck.
But like part of my tweet was that like you can kind of understand why after some of these losses, the Patriots aren't acting like they did in the past, I guess is the best way I can say it. That there are maybe some more smiles or just kind of conversations in there. And if they see their head coach on the Monday after a loss, like busting balls with the WEI morning crew, then I don't know why they would act any different than that. You know what I mean? It's just, it really is.
You want to see your coach and your leader be gutted and devastated that the fact that all of the work that goes into those games didn't pan out.
Right. And it doesn't feel that way when he's on. Like it feels that way with us. Like when we're on the conference call with him, I think he's like pretty stoic about it and like seems unhappy. But I obviously, if you're on the radio, like maybe he's trying to be entertaining, maybe he's trying to appease to fans. But like if he's trying to appease to fans, I think it's having the negative. He's taking the wrong approach there because I think they would like to see him be a little bit more upset about it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm all I am is in the media.
You're a person, and
who am I to say that like how he should be with the media? But I will say that like even within the building, because I talked to some people, they're like, yeah, I think he should probably work on his media training. And someone said that to me last week, and I was like, thank God you said that because I've been like thinking this all year and being like, am I crazy? And it's just, it's not the case. And
I truly do hate to out your sources, but that was Alex Van Pelt that told you that. So further throwing under buses. No. It's hard to believe in a system of accountability if the face of it, I don't want to say constantly makes excuses, but he kind of constantly makes excuses or buts or if this and if that. Like, I don't know. Did anyone ask him about the fumble into the end zone and the pick that got called? I'm sure he could be like, well, if that fumble goes out of the end zone and we get the interception, then we win the game. And it's like, you got to make your own luck. And I just feel like he is too quick to just play the role of the victim of bad luck when I think we've seen enough sports to know that usually luck favors you if you are better. You know, like that's sort of how it works out. You make your own luck.
Did this game or any of these comments or Kraft's in the booth, anything like that, change your mind about if people are going to potentially be back next year?
I don't know. Jonathan Kraft looked pissed. Like it was almost funny. And again, I told you I was catching up to this game. My daughter was in a production of Annie. Perhaps you've heard of it, the Little Orphan Annie. My daughter had the starring role as one of the housemaids of Daddy Warbucks.
You know who was acting like the sun will come out tomorrow? Jerod Mayo on WEI this morning.
That's true.
It is a hard knock life for the Patriots right now.
All right, that's the Pats Chat podcast. So yeah, they scheduled the plays during NFL Sunday. I personally wouldn't have done that, but either way, where was I going with that?
It's a new era in New England. You couldn't have done that 10 years ago.
No kidding. So much stuff happens on Sundays now, and I always tell my friends like this never would have happened if Tom Brady was still like anywhere near this team.
Your point was the Jonathan Kraft.
Oh, right, yeah. So I had known that it had gone viral, and like I had heard about it. I saw a quick clip on Twitter as I'm like scrolling, but actually just sitting down and watching the game and seeing it in context, it was like that's even funnier than I anticipated because he was just disgusted. And so do I feel like there's things on the line? Kind of, because did you see the Bills yesterday?
Yeah.
What if you get the full force of the Bills twice in the next 3 weeks and you lose 50-7 twice, which could very well happen. And now, like, I keep doing this, and maybe I'm dumb for doing this because there's only 3 weeks left, right? 3 weeks left in the season. Can't do math. If Mahomes is out or injured and the Chiefs lose next week, which they could, they're playing the Texans.
Yeah.
That Week 18 game could be meaningful, should be meaningful for the Bills.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that the Bills come into your stadium Week 18 and just smother you and embarrass you and treat you like little brother to the extreme. And I don't know. I would like to think decisions aren't made based on short-term windows. But I think that if the question is what does this coaching staff do well and what have they done to inspire confidence, they can't just say, well, Dan Campbell sucked in his first year, because you have to actually be building a foundation and be building something. And 2 weeks ago, Jerod Mayo was like, I don't think I could build anything in year one. It's like, what? Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I guess I'm at the point where it wouldn't surprise me if they make a change because of how everyone expected things to go poorly a certain way, but it's just been so much lower than that.
Yeah, and I think that this really, I don't know what's going to happen with Jerod Mayo. I think, everyone's saying he'll be back. I think that's probably the expectation. I don't think that Kraft would want to admit that mistake after 1 year. But we literally saw, according to lip readers, I want to throw that out there. I want to I want to clarify that every time. I'm not a master lip reader. According to lip readers, we saw the owners talking about offensive play calling and saying it's the offensive play calling, and supposedly saying the offensive play calling is terrible. We literally saw them say that. They would never say that to us, knowing if we talked to Robert Kraft tomorrow and we were like, hey, what do you think about the coaching staff this year? I don't think you'd be like, well, the offensive play calling is a problem. Yeah. So we're really seeing into and maybe it's just him being frustrated in the moment. Maybe this isn't how they feel most of the time, but we literally saw them say it. And it is also, it was kind of funny to me where that's something that your dad would say about it's or your friend from high school or something being oh my God, the offensive play calling is terrible. It's this super surface level analysis that usually when someone says that to me, I don't even really know what to say back. Cause I'm just yeah, I guess
for sure, man.
I'm looking at it so much deeper typically than that.
Yeah.
But I think
that used to happen a lot. You'd be on Twitter in the first quarter of a game and people are just all over McDaniels for one thing or another. And you're like, I missed that. I don't know. It was an incompletion. I don't know. But maybe I'm psychoanalyzing here a little bit too much because I did not go to school for that. That stadium, and I noticed you and a bunch of other reporters going in there, you're just sort of hit with a wave of Patriots memories. For sure. So I don't know if he's a little heightened emotionally walking in there between Super Bowl 42, Super Bowl 49. I even think 2016 when Jimmy G went in there, and that was a big win for the franchise. I think week one, Brady suspended. They got the next guy. They thought. So I don't know if maybe there's a certain heightened urgency or emotion that led to that moment from Jonathan. But to be fair, let's be fair. We only saw those clips. If they did picture-in-picture during that 9-play, 70-yard drive where the Cardinals just absolutely steamrolled the Patriots defense, maybe he was saying the defense sucks as well. Right. Yeah. So,
and I think it just was all these things compounding with Mayo seemingly throwing Van Pelt under the bus, Kayshon Boutte being we need to be more aggressive. We can't be shy. We got to run 2 minutes at the beginning of games. And there's been other games where Kayshon Boutte's messed up and he doesn't want to talk to anyone. And he wants to avoid the media like the plague. And after this game, he was ready to air his grievances. It was Festivus for Kayshon Boutte out there on in the Cardinals away locker room. But you mentioned Josh McDaniels. I do think it's a little bit interesting that he lives in the area.
He's local. He's rich. Doesn't need to make a lot.
I don't know what happens with the UNC staff, but the rumor out there, the latest one was Scott Turner could join as the offensive coordinator. Scott Turner is your offensive coordinator, then that means that Josh McDaniels is not going there. Josh McDaniels is also still, I believe, collecting a check from the Raiders for a year, 2, 3, however many more
I think
years.
He got a 5-year deal and made it into year 2, right? So this would be year 3.
This would be year 3.
He's got 2 more years at 10 mil, I think.
I think for him, he's obviously clearly not the hottest name out there for teams to be hiring as an OC. I don't think this is like his last chance or anything like that. I think like, but like for him, I don't know, like if Brian Dable becomes available, obviously working with Drake May would be a good situation. But I don't know if you want to hitch your wagon to Jerod Mayo in year 2, knowing that things could blow up and then they're looking to hire someone completely different in year 3. If you're Josh McDaniels and you're collecting a check from the Raiders and like you want to be local anyway, you're kind of like, why not, right?
The Drake appeal is big. By the way,
like, because if you improve the offense by tenfold this year, then you look great. And like, I don't think you'll ever get a head coaching opportunity again, but like, I think that does make you look good and attractive in the future, whatever you do, you know?
Yeah. I'm down on Dayball, by the way. This is neither here nor there, maybe, but they played on Thanksgiving, had an extra 3 days to prepare for the Saints coming to them.
Yeah.
A dome team outside of New York in December. I know it was Drew Lock, and it was like, but they came out, and I think Drew Lock was like 0 for 10 to start the game. It was just awful. And it's like, I'm starting to think that Josh Allen's turning the corner and ascension to MVP status was more about Josh Allen than Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
That's something I've come to. But yeah, no, I think if they were to think that, and I don't know how people would feel about that, Josh McDaniels.
I know. I don't know either.
Probably be an upgrade.
Yeah.
But just from the experience, like he's a good
offensive I don't know what happens with Van Pelt. Honestly, what I would say, the other reaction for me out of all of that was like, I kind of feel like Alex Van Pelt is like one of the last guys that we should be talking about right now. Because like
they've made progress. Like
they've made progress. Drake May has improved. Drake May went on the radio today and was talking about how much he's helped him develop. Like coming out of that or like going into that game, I'm like, I don't know. Alex Van Pelt's doing a decent job. And like, yeah, I don't think the offensive play calling is maybe ideal if I want to look at it in that perspective. And he's not necessarily the most creative guy that you could hire, but like just purely from an improvement standpoint and how Drake May's playing, like, I don't know, he's doing a pretty decent job, at least as a quarterback's coach.
Yep. And I saw this tweet. It was from Brian Barrett. It said Vidarian Lowe ranked 55th out of 56 tackles in PFF's pass block grade this week.
Yeah.
Ben Brown ranked 27th of 27 qualified centers. That would be last. So that is the offensive line. And that Vidarian Lowe, talk about running
2 really bad plays in a row.
Yeah. I was watching with my young daughter who could not care less about football. And I'm like, watch 59, watch this. And she's like, what is he doing? And I'm like, I know. But Ross Tucker was on the color commentary and literally said, okay, the Patriots have a problem and its name is Vidarian Lowe.
Oh, no.
And it was like unforgiving. And it was almost shocking to hear that kind of commentary in a game, but it was well warranted for sure.
The Patriots don't even go into games with a backup tackle. Their backup tackle is City So like I don't think Vidarian Lowe can even get benched this season unless they sign someone off the practice squad to do it. It's a wild situation.
Yeah.
I guess they could start Caden Wallace when he's healthy and move Demontre Jacobs over to left tackle, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I know we're running short of time. I got some quick hitters for you. You tell me if you want to chime in.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The first huge James Conner run, did you notice Jabril Peppers just completely biffing that one? Like Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar playing poorly it can't happen. Like if that is happening, you will get what you got yesterday.
We do have like 10, 15 minutes, so we're good.
Oh, hell yeah.
I miswrote my tweet, but so I deleted it. But on the 53-yard run, I meant to say that either Jabril Peppers was running like he was wearing cement shoes or Jabril Peppers was running like he was running on wet cement. And I think I just came out and said like, it looked like Jabril Peppers was running on cement, which wasn't the right way to say it. Yeah, it was real cementy out there. He looked like real slow on that. And he said after the game that he didn't expect James Conner to like turn the corner that fast, but that was rough. That was a rough rep by Jabril Peppers.
Yep. That was a bad one. The other one was, I mentioned earlier, the run to the left side. Taki was supposed to set the edge and just sucked himself into the line for no reason, which left Duggar all alone. And just, he completely missed, he missed several tackles. And there was the slant to Dortch, who's my favorite player in the league, Greg Dortch.
Dortch.
The slant went for like 40 yards, and it's just like tackling, man. Tackling.
Kyle Duggar got his ankles broken on that one. Yeah.
I got a positive for you. I like
Gonzalez? Oh,
obviously.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Jones play was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They call
Yeah.
it the orbit motion that
He
worked.
looks so much faster than any other Patriots offensive player on that play.
Because he is.
I was just like, wow, that's a different, like, just play him on offense. I don't know.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
I think you and I disagree a little bit on him because of his size and his limitations tackling and he's even on defense, his effort is so apparent.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just like you would love to have that guy on a good team. It's
Mhm.
almost a shame that
Oh,
he's on these the defenses, man. It's a shame that he's on a team where he can't be slotted in perfectly as a third cornerback and just be sort of an electric spark.
Yeah.
Instead, he's probably overly relied on. But I thought yesterday, like if I'm handing out Buckeyes to stick on their helmets, he's getting the first one. My second one's going to Antonio Gibson because that guy's effort, heart, hustle it's just off the charts. So there's people, if you're assessing this roster, you'd be like, that guy has something that they're showing it here. And like guys like, I don't know, Christian Ellis made a play. There's guys where it's evident that they're trying. They're not tapping out. And
I'd give a Buckeye to Kyler Murray for continuing to target Christian Gonzalez in the end zone on third down. Also, probably not the best thing to be doing.
Yeah. Oh, that was the play Christian Ellis made. He tackled Kyler Murray in the open field, 3rd and 4. That reminded me. That was shades of Teddy Bruschi on Marshall Faulk in Super Bowl 36. Exactly like it, actually, if you bear it out.
Even like the reaction. But no, I mean, Christian Gonzalez was fantastic in that game. 2 or 3 pass breakups, ball skills. Makes it look easy, especially like against a good wide receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. also.
Yep. Another note of mine, and now you were there, so your view, I don't know, are you sideline, are you corner?
Cornerish.
Okay, so the broadcast view of it was beautiful. Dietrich Wise makes the sack on Kyler Murray, rips him down, and is doing his like cavalier sword fight celebration.
Yeah.
And as soon as he unsheaths, the flag is flying for the horse collar tackle, 15-yard penalty, and he is Zorroing his way across the field. It was a beautiful mess of where the Patriots are at right now.
When you grab a guy by the back of his collar and sack him, I don't know if you need to go through with the celebration at that point.
Yeah, you're not going to convince the ref that you didn't do. That's a pretty black and white one there.
Yeah.
But that was a notable moment.
It was.
Let's see, the poke target, we already did that one. We had Layden Robinson getting blown up on 3rd and 1 and the Patriots being like, he's got it this time. And he did not.
No.
There was a mismatch. We talk about, so like there's coaching and there's personnel.
Yeah.
Del Pettis on Trey McBride. Mismatch.
Right.
Little slight mismatch.
Yeah. Yeah. Not when you want to see.
That's one
like 5'10". Trey McBride's like 6'4", 250. Yeah, not great.
That was not good. Do you want to talk about the deep shot to Bourne anymore? Because I really like that play.
That was great. That was a perfect throw. 37 yards? Is that what it was? 34?
I don't know exactly, but I know the replay, you could see Bourne didn't really have a step.
37, yeah. Yeah,
he was
I know.
He kicked it into his top gear.
Yeah.
And it was just that was pretty. That was art. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any more notes? If not, it's okay. I have a topic.
Yeah, we've touched most of my. I just wanted to do like the quick hitter notes. So there we did.
That was good. Do you have any further thoughts? Because we haven't talked since this of Bill Belichick taking the UNC job.
Oh yeah, we did. We did right before he signed.
And the Jets thing, and
well, let me throw this question at you. Well, first of all, the Jets thing we could talk about separately. Let me throw this question. I asked someone this the other day. What percentage of the United States? How many people are in America? Like 360 million. Is that right?
Sure.
What percentage of Americans have watched a UNC football game from start to finish? Because I did recently, as we stated.
I know. Yeah, you're an expert.
And I feel like even in Alumni Stadium that day, the number of people there from the start to the finish
was
like 200 by the end. It was, and so like what? That's why when people say like it's a disappointment and a letdown, it's because like it's UNC football, man. Like God, I know things can change, and I know what Dion did with Colorado, but Bill is not Dion. I don't know. It doesn't feel great knowing like he's going to be out there. I saw someone tweet, I think it was Brian Kelly doing like a photo shoot with his players. He was like, I can't wait for
Right.
Bill to be doing this stuff. And it's like,
And he already did it. He did it with like their quarterback recruit at the basketball game. He's like posing with him, posing with the family. The buyout thing is pretty funny to me, that it's a $10 million buyout until June 1st and then it drops down to $1 million. And it's just like, I mean, if we're being realistic about this, it feels like Bill's doing this job until the NFL comes calling, right?
If
Right, because I don't think it's a guarantee. I think that he believed that he was going to go through 2 entire hiring cycles without being. So if he
that's like, I mean, if you think about it, there was how many openings last year? 7,
right, and he got
And
one interview,
and there's going to be how many openings this year? 6,
maybe. Yeah,
you're looking at basically half the league has basically said no thanks, which
right.
is pretty telling.
So, but I mean, for him though, if he thinks that he's not going to get a job this cycle, yeah, take this job. Like, because it's better than doing the media for a year, right? And then like if the NFL comes calling next year, then you take the job. If not, then you've still got a job, right? Like, I know it sucks. I know that we'd all prefer to see him in the NFL, but for him, it's kind of a no-brainer to be like, well, I've got a job. I can do this. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
But if I'm someone looking to move to take a job at UNC, I probably don't feel great about it, that this could be a long-term thing, right?
Right. Yeah. It's just
like uprooting a family, uprooting your life, like taking a chance on this. I don't know if I do that.
I guess what I don't want to sound stupid, which it's
Too
probably
late.
the ship has sailed on that. I just thought for us, like, we are too in tuned with everything the Patriots have done right, wrong, and otherwise for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
That we know that, like, I think Bill Belichick is probably, if not the greatest coach of all time, one of 3. I'm not going to get it. I don't know how you compare across whatever. But we knew at the end it was not good. We knew he had lost concepts on offense. He had made terrible decisions on his coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We know all these things, but we also figured some owner somewhere would just be so drawn in by the allure of Bill Belichick that they'd give it a chance.
Right.
Someone like I know the Jets are the wrong example because of the history, but a team that's just never just spinning its wheels for decades could be like, you know what, maybe it won't work, but let's try 3 years of Bill. I'm surprised that nobody out there has done that. And it's
even the Jets, apparently.
Which, again, like, I tweeted this. I choose not to believe that because I want to live in a world where grudges go to the grave. 100-year grudges appeal to me much more than like, hey, what's up, guys?
Someone put it out there. They reached out to Tannenbaum, who's got a relationship with. Also, their GM right now is Phil Savage, who worked with him on the Browns. So, like, there's enough connections there that it does make sense that this happened. But yeah, it's not great. I do have to go, unfortunately, but I want to leave you with one thought, and you're gonna love this thought. Okay, it's gonna make this Heels chat, not Pat's chat, in the future. All right, let's say that Steve Belichick leaves the University of Washington. He takes a defensive coordinator job at UNC. Let's say that things fall through with Scott Turner. Matt Patricia needs a job. What job are you giving him? You give him the offensive coordinator job? You get back on the Matt Patricia OC situation here. Otherwise, what's Patricia doing over there? Assistant head coach or something? I don't know. Because Steve Belichick's got to be the DC, right?
He's got to be.
So what's Patricia going to do?
He gets the Bud Lights for Bill post game buds.
He sends the emails.
I don't know, man. That's part of it where it's like you get Bill and you get Lombardi, you get like the whole train shows up. It's just
Gang's getting back together.
I don't know, man. It's disappointing, but life moves on, I guess. Tom Brady doesn't play football anymore. Bill Belichick coaches the North Carolina Tar Heels, and the Patriots are 3-11, staring at 4-11. I mean, sorry, staring at 3-12. We'll do one this week, but that's a spoiler alert for our Bills preview. They're going to lose.
Life comes at you fast. All right. We will be back with you guys again on Thursday. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, do all those fun things. And we will talk to you guys again very soon. Goodbye.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Michael's mom.
Yeah.